We've done a video on the Enhanced Performance channel about Icengineworks blocks in the past, and it's something that I've tried to have a few conversations with people on Instagram about, kind of just get people's opinion of them really. It's, to me, they are a really interesting tool because I kind of understand some of the level of investment required to go and manufacture these types of things. And unfortunately, like, manufacturing exhaust is actually quite a small trade, especially kind of custom exhaust and things like that. I mean, if you think about like builders, you know, that's a big trade, and of course they've got loads of specific tools that work just for builders. But exhaust manufacturers don't necessarily have the availability of those kinds of tools that help them do the job. Things that, you know, you can make yourself and design yourself, of course, but not actual people kind of selling tools. And they've always interested me. I've known about them for years, and it took me a while to, I guess, decide to go for it. I think one of the reasons it took me a while is because we don't really do a lot of custom work. But we were starting to do more and more development of different manifolds and products around manifolds. And I guess I was just interested. So inevitably I bit the bullet and got the NP series, 1250 NP series, which is 1.25 inch nominal bore for like sked 10, sked 40 manifold steam pipe. And initially, yeah, they do the job. You know, they have saved me loads of time already. Again, we don't really make a lot of custom manifolds. And I think there'll be people that say, oh yeah, well, you know, I can look at a manifold, design the primaries in my head and kind of cut it all up without really making any mistakes. And there'll always be people like that. But I'm not one of them people. I'm happy to admit that. You know, sometimes it takes me 3 or 4 attempts, not because all the time you get something wrong, but just because sometimes you do something you're not happy with it and you want to change it. And that's one of the beauties of these blocks, these kind of block sets, is that you can kind of manufacture a manifold from plastic, look at it, decide if you like it aesthetically or if you think it's going to work in terms of, like, you know, clearance of everything. And then if you're not sure, just tear it apart and do it again. And you can't do that in steel. It takes hours to do it in steel. And that for me is one of the biggest advantages. It's the speed, not always even just the wasted material. It's the speed that it allows you to do it. And just play around with, you know, new things or interesting things. But the purpose of this video is really to kind of go through another set that I bought. So I bought, I haven't actually bought a set. I've actually never bought a set. What I've got this time is the 3-inch diameter blocks for exhausts. My issue with the Icengineworks stuff for exhausts, when it comes to the 3-inch and the 2.5 inch, is they use like kind of weird center lines. So in the UK, pretty much everybody builds exhausts from 1D and 1.5D bends. Sometimes we might use 2D bends, but basically everybody's using like 1D and 1.5D. Mainly like dairy bends, the hygienic stuff, you know, the clean, polished, stainless. Most of the custom guys that are kind of doing high-end stuff are using that, and that's perfectly good and fine. The issue is with the Icengineworks bends is that they only come in 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch and 6-inch center line, which is not really that good if you want to use 1.5D bends, because obviously that's 4.5 inch center line. And that they are conversations I've had with them, because I have spoke to them guys a lot recently, and I'm keen to work with them, and they're kind of keen to work with us as well. But I want to kind of get more of people's opinion of what these bends are and how people are willing to use them. But yeah, I didn't buy a set. I bought the bends. I didn't buy a set because we don't really have the availability of 4-inch, 5-inch and 6-inch centerline bends, nor do I really use them, nor do I really want to. To be honest, for most of the downpipes we do, it's almost exclusively 1D centerline. And sometimes I'll use a 1.5D if it makes things easier, if it means I need less straight. You know, if you can gain some clearance somewhere or straighten things out, I use 1.5D bends, but predominantly I'm using 1D. And don't get me wrong, they're still not perfect. But if you do a lot of things with pie cuts, these are great. So yeah, I thought I'd just go through why I've kind of bought what I've bought and how I'm going to use them. So I didn't buy a set because, like I say, I can't get the center lines that you actually need. I can only get the 3-inch center lines. And I don't really need 5-inch pieces of straight because they come in the 3-inch centerline blocks, which are these. So these are like a 15-degree block, again, which is handy because if you do like 7.5-degree pies, 15-degree pies, that's what that is. And then they do inch-long straights and the 5-inch long straights. Again, I don't really think that I need 5-inch long straights. If I had money burning a hole in my pocket, I'd probably get them, but I don't, so I'm not gonna. And these really are kind of all the blocks I really need. And 1.5D would be nice, but yeah, I mean, maybe a 9-degree would be nice, or like, I don't know, an 18-degree or something like that for if I was doing pie cuts with a 4.5-degree angle. But these are all you need, really. So I've got 3 bags here. I've got a bag of straights, which is 20 pieces, so 20 inches of straight, which again, if you're making downpipes, short sections, that's all you really need. And then I've got 2 bags of bends, so that's 40 bends, basically. 40 15-degree bends, which again is enough for like, what, 8, 9, 90-degree bends. Again, that's more than most people need. So you can also get these little adapter bungs, which is just like on the NPS stuff. That goes like in the end. They are mega tight fit, which actually I don't mind. But yeah, they are quite a tight fit. So that goes in the end there like that. And then the idea is you can shove that in a tube, in a silencer, in a flange, whatever. And that kind of holds and fixes the position. And again, these aren't perfect. And this isn't really going to work for my application today. I did get a couple of these, and I might actually modify one and cut it down, because this is the flange I'm going to use, which is one of our G series downpipe flanges, and so that goes in there lovely, and so does the rubber. The problem is it's far too long, so of course that would stick into the turbo. You know, if I was to push that right in there, it would, like, you know, stick well into the turbo. So these actually aren't that expensive. I think like $20 or something. So I would probably cut one of these down, because I do, you know, quite a lot of these Garrett type downpipes or tile downpipes, and then you can just hold that in there nice. So yeah, I'd probably just cut one of these down, and then it, you know, it works, you know, on every application then. And you could probably have, you know, a couple that are full size, a couple that are cut down or whatever. And again, this is where you can get clever with like 3D printing stuff. 3D printer flange with a, you know, a nice Icengineworks lock on it. So like the female end, you just need to print a flange with like a recess in it, and you can literally just clip your Icengineworks block straight into your flange to prototype it. Depends how many of, you know, what kind of things you're doing, I guess. But what I'm going to make is this downpipe for this BMW project we've got at the minute. So we've got a Garrett turbo hanging here, and I've set the like the flange here. These have like a 2-bolt flange with a graphite gasket on the other end. So I've made the reducer up, stuck the flange on, and yeah, that works with an Icengineworks now. Just so I can, you know, kind of have a play around. I'm not going to waste any material. I'm not going to like, you know, I'm not going to cut things wrong. I'm just going to play with it. Again, these aren't perfect in that you can only make 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and a 90-degree bend. But I think sometimes it's, for me, there's no real disadvantage in working around that limitation. So if I needed a 55-degree bend, but I can only make a 60, well, I've just got to take that 5 degrees out somewhere else. And it's not always going to work. Again, these aren't perfect for every application, but I'm pretty sure I can bang a downpipe together quick on this, way quicker than I would do in steel. Again, I'm sure there'll be some people that claim they can do it in steel really quickly. I'm not one of them people, I'm happy to admit. I reckon I can do this, you know, in like less than 5 minutes, and probably I'll have done 2 or 3 variations of it. I'll have checked the clearance, I'll know it's going to fit, I'll thought about where I'm going to put bracket, O2 bungs, the lot. And then I know exactly what to cut up, I know how to tack it. So yeah, I'm just going to do that, kind of whiz through it, and then show you what I've done, I guess. So I think that was about 6 minutes, and we've come up against one of the limitations of these blocks. But it's a good stopping point, because that's one of my hesitations with these kinds of kits is they do have the limitations, and one of them is that you're stuck with 1 inch and 15 degrees. So what I've got here is, in 6 minutes, I've figured out a really efficient way of making this, but the problem is I've got a gap. But if this is in steel, I don't have to worry about that. I know now I've got 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 degree bend, and then 4 inches of straight, and then I've got 45 and a 45 with some rotation in the middle. So I'm also trying to think about the quickest and easiest and cheapest way to make this, because I'm going to repeat this kit. So again, like chopping a 1D 90 in half to make 45s is ideal. And I'm going to be left with a leg on here, and I'm going to be left with a leg on here. Now granted, these are a 25mm straight, and I'm going to have a 35mm leg on my bend. But I can take some of that up in the length of this reducer, and I can also, I can push it out a little bit, again. So I know that's roughly where it's going to be. And then when I push that out a little bit, we get it a lot closer. So I know I'm 10mm short on this bend. Again, working with the limitations of what these kits are. But I know if I put about 10mm in there, I mean, look how close that is. And I know I'm going to have a 35mm leg on here, because I'm just going to cut a 1D 90 in half at 45s. So that, I can even measure the distance between the actual outside line of the bend. So what I can do is, on the bench, I can draw a line around the center of the outside of the bend. When I cut it at 45s, I can then measure that distance on this Icengineworks blocks, replicate that on my steel bend, and then try it up. And then all I've got to make sure is that that's exactly 75 and how long a piece of straight I need. So if I know if that's going to come out about another 10mm, and I'm going to have 35mm on here, and that's a 25mm piece, it's an inch. So I've got about a 10mm gap both sides. This really couldn't work out any better in the 6 minutes that I've kind of prototyped it. I know I need to cut a 1D90 at a 75 degree, and that angle end is going to go straight in my flange. I'll just tack that straight on. And then I'm going to need basically, well, it won't be a 3-inch straight because I'll have 35mm leg on. So call it, call it 40mm straight, and then I'm going to have the straight on the end of here with my 45 together, and then on the end of there. So in 6 minutes, I've worked out how I'm going to make it, what pieces I'm going to use, how I've decided how I'm going to do it, and basically with no wastage. And I'm not sure, these bags, I think the bags work out 110 quid, 120 quid a bag. So I'm dealing, at the minute, I've used, including the rubber block, I think they're about 20 quid. I've used 250 quid's worth of plastic to work out one downpipe with no wastage in 6 minutes. That, for me, is an absolute no-brainer. And I'm not selling these yet, might do, but so I hear people say they're expensive all the time. And they are, but so's a decent bandsaw, so's a plasma table, so's a CNC machine. It's like horses for courses, they all do different jobs and they're all inherently different at doing them. There is nothing like this. And to me, I could give this to anyone and they could, just like Lego, they could make a downpipe that would probably fit in the gap. And think about that in terms of training people. Again, to me, it's a no-brainer. The limitations you can work around. It still helps you. It's just the things like the 1.5D. I've already been speaking to them. We know they need 1.5D in 3-inch, in 2.5-inch, and they need 1D 2.5-inch, because they only do 3-inch centre line, 2.5-inch bends, which is again a bit weird because that's how they do things in America. I understand why they do that. trying to keep everything uniform and the same. But it doesn't really work for the UK market, and I think probably like places like Australia, New Zealand, you know, a lot of Europe, they all work off 1D and 1.5D. So we're hopefully going to figure that out kind of going forward. But yeah, I'm just going to cut these bits up now and show you, that I've literally not changed a thing, and I can get it bang on in 6 minutes of prototyping. So, downpipe fully tacked up. I'll just throw in the kind of plastic one again, just so you can kind of see. So, it's using, the two different kinds of pieces, just straights and bends. You can do so much with it, and like I've literally wasted nothing on that. Not even a single piece of straight. And I think until you really have a play with these, you can't actually, get a grasp of how much quicker it can be to do stuff. I think we'll do maybe do another one of these in, I don't know, a few days, few weeks or something like that, and then maybe a manifold one. But I'm open to suggestions if there's, you'd like to see us do more stuff with these, how we use them, or just to chat about them more really, because they are an interesting product, and I don't think there's many people that really use these in the UK. I don't really see many people using them, but I think these 3-inch 1Ds, given that you only need 2 different blocks, are almost a no-brainer in terms of if you make a fair few downpipes or exhaust systems a year. You kind of got to have them, really, in my opinion. Again, one of the reasons it took me so long to buy them was just because of the availability. They've never been available in the UK, really. So yeah, we're looking to change that, I guess. So if there's anybody that would be interested in some, we should hopefully be able to supply them soon. This is probably comes across like the biggest sales pitch ever. It's not. You've literally just seen me use them. I mean, this is like QVC. You've literally just seen me kind of make it, no wastage, 6 minutes from nothing to plastic, and and then I went from that to, I made one slight adjustment to the rotation there, and that's kind of what it is. But I might have a go at doing another couple of downpipes and just show it, just in a separate video. We've got some stuff in jigs. I've already made it, and I kind of know how it's going to look. But again, it gives you the option to play around, do things that you maybe wouldn't have done before, make something a different way, loads of things. So yeah, thanks for watching.